Welcome to the English Phrases Hub podcast, where you learn real, useful English, one phrase at a time. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the English Phrases Hub podcast. I'm Emma, and I'm so happy you're here with me today. Thank you for taking a moment out of your day to sit down, slow down, and learn. Today's episode is a really important one because we're going to talk about something that can change the way you speak English forever. Let me ask you this. Do you often think in your native language first and then translate your thoughts into English? You're not alone. In fact, many English learners do this. It's a habit that often comes from how we were taught, especially through traditional grammar translation methods in school. You memorize words, you memorize grammar rules, and when it's time to speak, your brain goes, okay, first, what do I want to say? Let me think in my language. Now let's find the English words. Now try to say it. But what happens? You pause, you hesitate, you forget a word, and sometimes you just give up on the sentence. It feels frustrating, right? That's because translation creates a mental barrier. It's like putting an extra wall between your thoughts and your words. Every time you try to speak, you have to climb over that wall. And that takes time. Time that you don't have in a fast conversation. And what about idioms or slang? Things like break a leg, hit the books, or I'm feeling under the weather. These expressions don't translate well. So if you try to think in your own language first, you'll likely miss the meaning or say something that sounds strange. But here's the good news. There is another way, a better way, and that's thinking in English. Yes, you can do it. And no, it doesn't mean being perfect. It means training your brain, little by little, to stop translating and to start feeling the language, to recognize patterns, to form sentences naturally, to understand and respond faster, more confidently, and more like a native speaker. And the beautiful part? This skill can be learned. It's not magic. With regular practice and exposure, your brain will start to switch automatically, and you'll find yourself thinking in English without even trying. It becomes a habit, a natural rhythm, a new way of living in the language. In this episode, I'll guide you, step by step, through gentle techniques to help you make that switch. You'll learn how to build simple habits, create the right environment, and rewire your thoughts in English. So take a deep breath, smile. You're already doing something amazing just by being here. Let's begin, and let's learn how to think in English. Now, let's take a moment to understand, why does our brain resist thinking in English? Why is it so much easier and more automatic to think in our native language? The answer is simple, but powerful. Your brain always chooses the easiest path. It defaults to what it knows best, what feels safe, familiar, and fast. And for most of us, that's our first language. We've been using it since childhood. We think in it, dream in it, and even talk to ourselves in it, in what psychologists call our inner speech. Here's something interesting. We think much faster than we speak. Our internal monologue, that little voice in our head, is running all the time, and it speaks the language we've used for years. So, switching that inner voice to English, it can feel strange, even uncomfortable, like trying to write with your non-dominant hand. But here's the good news. Our brains are not fixed. They can change. They want to learn. And over time, they can embrace a new language if we give them the right tools. A famous psychologist, Lev Vygotsky, once said that inner speech, the voice inside your mind, develops from external speech. In other words, the more you speak English aloud, the more your brain starts to build that English inner voice. Yes, even if you're talking to yourself, even if no one is listening. This is why speaking practice matters. It's not just about pronunciation. It's about rewiring your thoughts, slowly shifting your internal world into English. Another powerful method is immersion. When you surround yourself with English music, podcasts, videos, books, conversations, your brain begins to notice patterns. It starts making connections without needing to translate. It hears a phrase and understands the meaning directly in English. This is how babies learn language, and it's how you can too. So yes, your brain may resist at first, but with consistent practice, gentle repetition, and enough input, it will adapt. And eventually, it will start to embrace thinking in English. Stay with me because next we'll look at some easy steps you can take today to begin that transformation. All right, let's talk about something real, something almost every English learner experiences: obstacles. The challenges that make thinking in English feel hard. If you've tried before and felt stuck, it's not your fault. There are natural reasons why this feels difficult. But the good news is there are also simple ways to overcome these challenges. Let's go through the most common obstacles and how to gently move past them. Obstacle 1, thinking in your native language. This is the big one. If you've always thought in your first language, switching to English can feel uncomfortable, even unnatural. But here's a helpful truth. You don't have to switch all at once. You can start small. For example, when you see something, like a book, instead of thinking the word in your own language, try to say it in English. Book. Chair. Sun. Do this during quiet moments, like when you're walking, waiting in line, or doing chores. Then slowly build up. Instead of just book, try a red book. A small red book on the table. This is how we build fluency, step by step. You're not just memorizing words, you're training your brain to see and think in English, naturally. And that, my friend, is real progress. Now, here's another common challenge, and it's something almost every learner says at some point. I want to think in English, but I just don't know enough words. You have the idea in your head, but when you try to say it in English, even just in your mind, you get stuck. You search for the right word, and it's just not there. And then what usually happens, you go back to your native language, because that's easier, that's safer. It's like your brain saying, let's just say this the way we know how. But here's the truth I want to share with you. You don't need a perfect vocabulary to think in English. You don't even need to know all the right words. What you need is the courage to use the words you do know, even if they're simple, even if they feel too basic. Let me give you an example. Maybe you want to say, I was feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities. But overwhelmed or responsibilities, those words might not be in your mind yet. So what can you do? Say it like this instead. I was feeling tired, too many things to do. It's not perfect, but it's clear. You've expressed the idea, and that's the goal. This is how fluency starts, by using the English that's already inside you, by choosing progress over perfection. If you hit a word you don't know, try to go around it. Use different words, or skip that part and keep going. That's the key. Keep going. Don't stop your English thinking just because of one missing word, and something amazing will happen over time. The more you do this, the more your brain learns what's missing. It starts noticing patterns in conversations, books, or videos. You hear new words, and your brain says, ah, that's the word I needed before. That's how vocabulary grows naturally, not by memorizing endless word lists, but by living with the language, by thinking with the language. So next time you get stuck, take a deep breath, smile, and say, it's okay. I'll use what I know and keep thinking in English. You're building your fluency, one simple thought at a time. Let's talk about one of the quietest but strongest barriers to thinking in English: fear. Not fear of the language itself, but fear of making a mistake, of saying something wrong, of thinking in bad or broken English, even in your own mind where no one else can hear you. You might worry, what if this sentence is wrong? What if my grammar is off? What if I sound silly, even to myself? And because of that fear, what do? We retreat. We go back to the language that feels safe, our first language, and we pause the process of thinking in English. But here's what I want you to remember right now, and I hope these words stay with you. Your thoughts are private. No one hears them. No one is judging your grammar or vocabulary inside your own mind. And that means you are completely free to make mistakes. You can speak imperfect English to yourself, and that's not only okay, it's powerful. In fact, talking to yourself in English, even just quietly or in your mind, is one of the best ways to grow. It builds comfort, it builds confidence, and it slowly rewires your inner voice. One language coach put it beautifully: if you speak to yourself in English and make a mistake, no one will know. So just do it. Let that sink in for a moment. You're allowed to play with the language, to explore it, to get things a little wrong as you get a lot better. Think about how children learn language. They make up words, they mix tenses, they say silly things, and yet they keep going. They keep speaking because they're not afraid of mistakes, they're just focused on expressing themselves. You can do the same. So next time your brain says, wait, is this the right way to say it? Smile and say, that's okay. I'm learning. This kind of playfulness, this freedom, is exactly what leads to fluency. So talk to yourself. Think in English. And give yourself permission to be perfectly imperfect. That's how you grow. Here's another challenge that many English learners face, and this one is about your surroundings. Think about your daily life, your job, your home, your friends, your favorite shows or music. If almost everything around you is in your native language, then your brain stays in that language too. It never really has a reason to switch into English mode. It's like trying to swim in an empty pool. The desire is there, but the environment just doesn't support the practice. But don't worry, you don't need to move to an English-speaking country. You can create your own mini English environment right where you are. And it only takes a few minutes each day to make a real difference. Here's how. Set aside 10 to 30 minutes daily just for English. That's your English time. During that window, everything you read, hear, or think should be in English. You can listen to an English podcast, like this one. Play your favorite English songs and follow the lyrics. Change your phone's language settings to English. Think through your daily to-do list in English. Buy bread, reply to emails, call my friend at 6. It may feel small, but these small steps create real immersion. And immersion is how the brain learns naturally. Here's the magic of it. When you make English a part of your daily routine, your brain begins to adapt. It learns to recognize English not as a foreign task, but as something familiar, something safe, something that belongs in your life. Bit by bit, English becomes the default for those little situations. And soon, your internal dialogue starts to follow. You begin to hear that inner voice in English. It's not about being perfect. It's about consistency. So even if no one else around you speaks English, you can still surround yourself with it, in your ears, on your screen, and inside your mind. And remember, it's not how long you immerse, it's how regularly. One English moment each day can build a habit for life. So now that we've talked about the obstacles, let's shift gears and focus on solutions. Real tools, simple exercises, easy actions. You can take starting today to build the habit of thinking in English. And here's the best part. You don't need a classroom. You don't need fancy apps. You just need a little time and a bit of curiosity. Let's begin. Exercise 1. Label your world in English. One of the simplest, yet most effective, ways to train your brain is to connect English words directly to real things. How? By labeling your environment. Start by placing small sticky notes on everyday items around your home. Write the English word on each one: mirror, fridge, door, light, toothbrush. Every time you walk by, your brain sees the word, not as a translation, but as part of what the item is. This visual immersion gives your mind tiny reminders. Hey, this is mirror, not mora or espejo or miroir, just mirror. And if you don't want sticky notes everywhere, that's okay. You can do this mentally too. Look around and name things in English in your head. That's a table, these are keys, this is my bag. It's simple, it's fast, and it works. The more you practice, the more your brain stops asking for a translation. It just knows. Exercise 2. Narrate your day in English. Here's another game changer. Talk to yourself. Yes, really. As you go about your day, try to describe your actions in English, silently or quietly out loud. Let's say you're making breakfast. In your mind, narrate, I'm boiling water, now I'm adding coffee, it smells good. Or when you're getting dressed, I'm putting on a blue shirt, where are my shoes? You're not just thinking about the action, you're living it in English. This running commentary may feel a bit strange at first, but soon it becomes a flow, a habit, and your brain starts retrieving English words faster and easier. Why does this work so well? Because you're connecting language to real-life experience. You're not just memorizing vocabulary, you're using it. And use is what leads to fluency. Think of it like this. You're building a new path in your brain, a new way of thinking. Each time you narrate an action in English, you walk that path again. And over time, that path becomes the main road. So today, try just one of these. Label 3 things in your room. Narrate your morning routine or describe what you're cooking. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to begin. Because every time you use English in your daily life, you're not just learning a language, you're building a new way of thinking. And that is powerful. All right. This next strategy is simple, powerful, and honestly, a little fun. Talk to yourself. Yes, I'm serious. Talk to yourself in English. You don't need an audience. You don't need a partner. You are the audience. You are the partner. This is one of the safest, most effective ways to start thinking in English because there's no pressure, no judgment, just you and your voice. Here's how you can start. Ask yourself a question like, how was my day? And then answer it. My day was pretty busy, thanks. Or talk through your plans. After work, I'll go to the gym, then maybe grab something to eat. You can even react to your surroundings. Oh, that's a cute dog sitting on the bench. Wow, the weather's perfect today. These mini conversations help you practice vocabulary, grammar, tone, and most importantly, fluency. You're not just thinking in English, you're interacting in it. And here's the science behind it. Psychologists like Lev Vygotsky found that our inner voice, the thoughts in our minds, develops from the external voice. So when you speak English out loud, your brain starts building an English internal dialogue over time. It may feel awkward at first, but with practice, this self-talk becomes your natural rhythm, and your inner voice will start to sound more and more like English. So go ahead, speak to yourself, in the mirror, while cooking, while walking. Your future fluent self will thank you for it. And now, let's bring it to the page. Another beautiful way to train your brain to think in English is through journaling. Just you, a notebook, and your thoughts in English. Start small. Each evening, take 5 minutes to write down something simple. Today was a long day. I had a lot of meetings, but I felt proud of my work. I'm feeling tired, but tomorrow I want to be more active. Don't worry about perfect grammar or spelling. This isn't an exam. It's your space, your private practice. You can write about your day, your feelings, your plans, your dreams. Or make it even simpler. Write your grocery list in English. Write your to-do list. Call mom, wash the dishes, finish the report. Why does this work? Because to write, you must think first. And when you write in English, you are thinking in English. This written practice builds your mental language pathways and trains your brain to choose English as the first response. Over time, you'll notice writing becomes easier, thoughts come quicker, and thinking in English feels natural. So if you're ever unsure where to start, just speak or just write. Your brain is listening. And with every sentence, spoken or written, you're becoming more fluent, more confident, and more free. This next strategy is one of my personal favorites. It's called shadowing. Now don't worry, it's not mysterious. In fact, it's very simple. Shadowing just means repeating what you hear in English right after you hear it. Let's say you're watching a YouTube video or listening to a podcast. A speaker says, "What are you doing today?" You pause for a second and then repeat, "What are you doing today?" You echo it quietly, maybe out loud, or even in a whisper. This exercise helps in many ways. You're not just listening. You're speaking, processing, and producing English. You're practicing pronunciation, intonation, and fluency, all without the pressure of creating your own sentences yet. It's like training wheels. You're getting used to how English sounds and feels, and your brain begins to think in phrases instead of individual words. And here's something amazing. Even just repeating new words or short expressions, like, "I see what you mean," or "that sounds interesting," helps activate those phrases in your mind. That means next time you want to use them, they're already there, ready to go. So whether you're on a walk, cleaning the house, or relaxing, try shadowing a few lines from your favorite English podcast, movie, or series. Let your mouth move, let your ears lead, and soon your mind will follow. Let's move to a slightly more advanced, but very rewarding strategy. Switch to Monolingual Resources. That means instead of using a bilingual dictionary to translate English words into your language, Try using an English dictionary. I know, at first this might feel slower, it might feel harder, but here's why it's powerful. When you read a definition in English, your brain stays in English mode. It doesn't flip back into your native language, and that's the goal. One English teacher, who now speaks several languages, said this was a game changer. When he switched to a monolingual dictionary in his target language, he was forced to think in that language. And suddenly, things clicked. So next time you see a new word, try this. Look it up in an English dictionary. Read the meaning. Read the example sentence. Maybe even picture it. Let your brain absorb the meaning, not just the translation. You can also learn new words using images, videos, or context. Instead of asking, "What's the word in my language?" Ask instead, "What does it mean? How is it used? When do people say this?" This approach helps you remember faster and think smarter in English because you're not just memorizing, you're connecting. So take the leap. Try that English dictionary. Let English explain itself to you and trust that your brain will rise to the challenge. Now, are you ready for a real challenge? Here's a powerful exercise that turns your English thinking into a game. Set no translation challenges. Here's how it works. Pick a short period of time, maybe just 5 or 10 minutes a day. And during that time, make a promise to yourself. No native language allowed, only English thoughts. That's it. No matter what you're doing, walking, cooking, scrolling your phone, for those minutes, you train your brain to stay in English. And if you catch yourself slipping back into your first language, don't worry. Just gently switch back. Even if you don't know the exact words, you can describe things simply, or even speak in playful nonsense English if needed. The content doesn't have to be perfect. The goal is the habit. This is how you build mental strength, by treating English thinking like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. You can even use a timer or alarm to help. Set it for 5 minutes. Then tomorrow, maybe 6. The next day, 7. Small steps, big changes. And here's something important. Celebrate each moment you succeed. Even 3 minutes of pure English thinking is a win. You're building endurance. You're rewiring your brain. You're doing something many people only dream of doing. So stay patient. Stay kind to yourself. This is not a race, it's a rhythm. And your rhythm will grow stronger with time. Every one of these exercises, from labeling your world, to journaling, to shadowing, to setting no translation challenges, helps bring English into your inner world, into your thoughts, your habits, your daily life. And that's the magic. Because once English lives in your mind, it will flow from your mouth with more ease, more confidence, and more joy. So don't view these practices as homework. View them as mental games, your own personal English workout. Have fun with them. Be consistent. Even 5 minutes a day makes a difference. Over time, these small habits will create something powerful, an English atmosphere inside your mind. And soon, thinking in English won't feel like a task. It will feel like you. As we wrap up the strategies, let's take a moment to hear from the people who've been on this journey. The teachers, the coaches, and the polyglots who've helped thousands of learners just like you. Language experts agree. Learning to think in English is not an overnight change. It's a gradual process. But it's also a deeply rewarding one. Fluency coach Keith O'Hare shares something that really resonates. He says many learners struggle because they were taught to always translate, to go from their native language to English and back again. That habit becomes automatic. But to truly become fluent, Keith says, we must break that habit and start thinking directly in English. Not perfectly, not with big words, just simply. Use the English you already know, speak it, think it, live in it, and little by little your mind adapts. People who speak many languages often say the same thing. One well-known polyglot, Luca Lampariello, shares a powerful tip. Stop leaning on your native language as a crutch. Train your brain to understand words in English, not through translation, but through meaning, through images, through real-life connections. He says it's like using a monolingual dictionary. You look at an English word and understand it using English explanations, not your mother tongue. That may feel hard at first, but that's exactly what rewires your thinking. Instead of thinking, What's the word for this in my language? Ask yourself, what does this mean in English? When do people use it? You're not just learning words, you're building mental patterns. And here's something fascinating from cognitive science. Some researchers have found that when we think in a second language, we sometimes make clearer decisions because there's a little emotional distance. It slows us down just enough to think more rationally. Isn't that incredible? Thinking in English might not just help your speaking, it might actually help your thinking. And of course, we can't forget the insight of psychologist Lev Vygotsky, who reminded us that our inner voice grows from spoken language. That's why all the talking you do to yourself in English, all the journaling, all the narration, all the small moments of English-only thinking, they matter. They're literally building your English brain. Finally, every expert agrees on this one truth. Be patient. Be consistent. You don't need to think in English all day. You don't need to be perfect. Just celebrate the small wins. Like Fluency teacher Gabby Wallace says, if you catch yourself thinking in English for just a few seconds, that's a win. That's progress. Because those small moments, they grow. They build momentum. And over time, they transform how you speak, how you listen, and how you feel in English. So keep going. You're doing better than you think. And now, as we come to the end of this episode, let's pause and take a deep breath together. Because here's the truth. Thinking in English is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, it takes patience, and it's okay if it feels strange or even difficult in the beginning. But the most important thing you can do is to keep English alive in your daily life. Speak it, hear it, write it, think in it, even just for a few seconds. And little by little, something beautiful begins to happen. Your internal monologue, that voice inside your mind, starts to shift. You catch yourself saying yes instead of see or hi. You see an object and think door instead of translating. You narrate a thought and it flows in English. These are your small victories. Celebrate them. They are signs that your English brain is taking shape. And here's something I want you to remember. You don't have to force it. Let it come naturally. The more you use English, the more confident you feel in it, the more your brain will choose it. All on its own. Use the tools we talked about. Journaling, talking to yourself, shadowing, no translation challenges, monolingual dictionaries, quiet moments of narration. And when you feel discouraged, remember the words of language coaches and learners who've walked this path before you. Be kind to yourself, be consistent, and trust the process. With time, you'll find yourself thinking more clearly, more confidently, and yes, more fluently in English. And that's a beautiful milestone, one that opens the door to new conversations, new connections, and a new version of you. So wherever you are right now, walking, studying, resting, just know, I'm proud of you for showing up today. Keep going. You're doing better than you think. And as always, thank you for learning with me here at the English Phrases Hub podcast. I'm Emma, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care and keep thinking in English.